Thank you for the thank the Jamaica Developers Association for once again inviting me to deliver the opening address. I do consider it a privilege and honor. The Jamaica Developers Association should be congratulated for discussing topics that are vital and important to developers. I'm sure those who participate will benefit from the contributors who are experts and professionals in their field. The Developers Association is definitely a body for highlighting the challenges and issues its members encounter and seek to find solutions that are beneficial to them. Instead of primarily competing, members of the association could collaborate and cooperate even more for their mutual benefit. At the outset, let me thank the many developers who, over many decades, have provided lovely residential homes for thousands of Jamaicans. Jamaicans are truly appreciative of the many developments, small and expansive, that have allowed so many families to live in comfort. Over the years and numerous times, I have lived in Harborview, Mona Heights, and Hope Pastures, and truly admire these developments, which, after 50 years and more, have withstood earthquakes, hurricanes, and man-made disasters to accommodate and continue to allow thousands of Jamaicans affordable and comfortable living. To be sure, there are similar schemes, some even more extensive, that provide single-family units with green space, trees, and children playing areas. Yes, in rural parishes, these single-family scheme homes with reduced yard space are still being built. However, in urban areas, the trend is towards multi-family developments where hitherto single-family units existed. No one can deny the need for these multi-family, high-rise apartments and townhouses. Yet there's an urgency to re-examine if and where these multi-family developments on limited land space should emerge. I will discuss that later. At this time, many residential communities are fearful and resistant to these emerging developments. At the same time, developers should be aware that the public at large are busily and respectfully scrutinizing their developments and the seemingly intrusive manner in which these developments emerge, especially in Northern St. Andrews single-family residential communities. Surely, these residents, many are retired and endeavoring to enjoy their retirement, deserve to have their peace of mind and bereft of the demand to protect the restrictive covenants to which their properties are entitled. In Upper St. Andrew, most homes were built less than 50 years ago and are generally part of a scheme governed by restrictive covenants. On reflection, is it fair to these residents to have these multifamily, high-rise units springing up contiguous to their homes, which were hitherto private and with unrestricted view and in an unobtrusive setting? In truth, residents are extremely annoyed, angry, and amazed when, without notice or warning, and most times without knowledge of any amendment to or application to amend the restrictive covenants, multifamily developments simply spurt up totally unannounced. Residents should never have to suffer the inconvenience or expense to challenge these applications to modify restrictive covenants to which, as homeowners, they are entitled. I strongly believe that restrictive covenants, being contractual arrangements between homeowners, should only be modified with an express, implied, or constructive agreement, or a significant majority of all homeowners agreeing. It is simply not right that development should begin even before the restrictive covenants are modified. At which point, the developers fervently believe that having spent huge sums to get municipal approval, they can override and overpower every homeowner's objections to the modification. This impasse needs to be resolved. Our courts should not be demanding that should be an approved development plan, which may have cost millions of dollars before considering the application for modification. Surely, a sketch plan should be enough. This costly impasse is a matter that needs to be resolved. I am aware that the vast majority of developers, especially those who are members of this Jamaica Developers Association, do follow the rules and sadly get shafted by long delays and obvious frustration. Still, there are far too many developers, especially those who are seeking to launder ill-gotten gains or to make quick money from ill-conceived developments, who are making residential and neighborly living inconvenient and an unholy mess of perennial dust, heavy equipment disturbance, and road disrepair. Developers, especially members of this noble association, the reverberating discussion nowadays is about codes of conduct. Should developers have one? I think it is most appropriate that they should do, and that there should be some minimum quantitative measurements by which developers can be judged and held. While we appreciate that developers engage contractors to build houses, to invest and to make a profit, and to create surplus and gain experience for other developments, it is extremely important that construction should in some way benefit the neighborhood and not be destructive and damaging to it. Yes, while a pleasing and well-appointed development can lift and improve the ambience and value of the neighborhood, the reverse can be the actual reality, when the neighborhood can become overcrowded, congested, and a seeming concrete jungle. Again, on construction sites, there should be minimum standards of behavior: noise, neighborly interaction and dislocation, and prompt continuous repairs to roads adjoining and leading up to the development. It is absolutely wrong for the developers to blame the contractors and/or their workmen. It is absolutely wrong to ignore the privacy and convenience of neighbors who suffer continuously during most constructions. It is absolutely wrong to leave the roads and sidewalks in a worse state of repairs than originally found. Indeed, at a very minimum, developers should ensure that order and regular cleaning in and around construction sites are maintained from commencement to completion. It is such a pleasant surprise to observe the cleaning, improving, and repair to roads and sidewalks during a development and after, such as on Braemar Avenue, after the completion of the Hampshire Apartments. Far too many developers are totally ignoring the conditions attached to their development approval. Should the municipal corporations demand bonds which could be used to force compliance with the imposed conditions. Alternatively, the municipal corporations could require a no objection letter from the Member of Parliament and or the councillors before providing any letter or approval authorizing the issuing of splinter titles. Such no objection letters should not be unduly withheld and could be overridden by the city engineer in appropriate cases to avoid any perception or reality of corruption. However, when things go wrong and roads and communities are destroyed and severely disrepaired, it is the councils and the MPs who are called upon to fix them and to do so promptly. Moreover, at various times of the construction, the councils and the MP in particular are blamed for not managing and instructing the developers to clean the roads, to avoid the congestion, and to stop the noise at various hours of the night and on weekends. So, as a Member of Parliament, one of the major grievances that residents bring to my attention is the damaged and disrepaired roads, primarily caused from concrete and heavy-duty trucks traversing across them. When anyone drives on the corridors of Dillsborough Avenue, Millsborough Avenue, Tavistock, and Jackson, it is appalling to observe and note the multi-billion, with emphasis, multi-billion dollars developments from which developers have made hundreds of millions of dollars. And to date, no one has ever offered to fix even a part of any of these roads on which the purchasers have to drive to and from their new homes. Surely, these developers could combine and provide carpet roads befitting the quality of the luxury homes developed alongside them. Developers, I await calls from these developers around this corridor to repair the roads. Carpet roads would suit these developments, but I don't expect any. Frighten me, surprise me, and call me as to how we can put together to make Millsborough Avenue, Dillsborough Avenue, Jackson, Tavistock, really carpet roads. So while I appreciate that developers are primarily concerned with the speedy completion of these projects and to optimize their profits, I urge developers to escape from these narrow visions and widen their vision to include human, community, and national developments. I acknowledge that any development contributes to social and economic improvement. However, it can be more focused and beneficial. We can do more for the people who help us to make our ventures succeed and realize enormous profits. How many developers check to determine if the workmen in and on their sites are trained and certified? Would it not be useful to assist these workmen to get certification from the Hard Trust NTA? So many masons, carpenters, plumbers, tilers, painters, etc., move from site to site and even remain with the same contractor and have no certification. In the modern age, certification is vital for any employee. And as a rule, developers should endeavor to have trained and certified workmen to ensure the construction is properly and professionally done. But most importantly, to assist with certification is to assist the workman with the opportunity to move on to other jobs without the need for recommendation and contacts. I do not deny that workmen are contractors in their own right and responsible for their personal well-being. Still, is it possible for additional training and information to be provided to help them to develop into true professionals and good citizens caring for their families and children? Sadly, at many of these sites, disputes and disagreements drift into violent confrontations and unnecessary personal injuries. If developers are interested, the Ministry of Justice will provide free sensitization program in dispute resolution to workmen to alternate ways and means to resolve disagreements and restore relationships. And the ministry will do it free to participants as we pay the instructors. Finally, I turn to the crying and urgent need for urban renewal. Even while the government contemplates and studies how a sustained program of urban renewal can be undertaken, developers should start to reimagine and to plan how our inner cities can be renewed and rehabilitated. More importantly, there are many pockets of the decaying households that cry out for joint ventures with the owners or occupants to rehabilitate and develop the areas. In my constituency, I can think of the area between Russell Heights and Birdsucker Lane and other surrounding communities. Still, developers should start eyeing vast swaths of older communities across the whole parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew, where many houses now decaying and need to be replaced. Actually, it is in these older communities that modern high-rise family apartments, multifamily apartments, should be constructed. One hopes, however, that developers should eye 5 to 10 acres of vast swaths of properties that would allow several high-rise apartments, but also enough land for trees, green space, playing facilities, and space for community activities. I would like to see the owners and occupiers in these areas, for example, Vineyard Town, Rollington Town, Almond Town, etc., be engaged in joint ventures with the developers and the government for an orderly and creative process to build new and well-appointed complexes and communities. Eventually, the government may well be invited to declare designated areas available for urban renewal and allow developers to engage homeowners to enter into joint ventures. Thus, developers could offer homeowners, in exchange for their properties, 2 or 3 brand new townhouses or apartments in the new development. To be sure, some owners may simply want to sell and put everything behind them. There are others who may refuse to sell and want to remain undisturbed in their present abode, regardless of how dilapidated or decaying the property may be. Accordingly, the government's intervention becomes necessary in the instances where it is necessary to acquire the property for new development. The process of eminent domain is well known, but rarely used for the benefit of housing developments. I expect that if urban renewal is to gain speed, developers may need to have the government use the tool of eminent domain to ensure orderly and comprehensive renewal of urban and blighted communities. Developers across our inner cities, our people deserve better living conditions. Government alone cannot do it, or even able to provide the funds to help these inner city citizens. And the vast majority of the citizens cannot and will never find the funds to rehabilitate their homes, much less their community. As I close, I urge developers to think and to reimagine how our urban areas could become and start planning with the National Housing Trust, other government agencies, and central government to fund and find ways and means to redevelop Jamaica and provide homes for our people. I thank you for this opportunity.